Amara and Daniel's love story began in their small hometown. Their parents were friends, and the two had grown up as inseparable companions. From chasing each other in the backyard to helping with homework, their bond deepened naturally over the years. By the time they graduated from high school, their feelings blossomed into a romantic relationship. Their love was not without its challenges. Though Daniel's family had moved to the city for better opportunities when they were teenagers, he and Amara kept their love alive through long-distance communication. Eventually, they reunited when Amara moved to the city for college. From then on, it seemed like nothing could tear them apart. Years passed. After 2 years of love and dating, Daniel proposed to Amara on her birthday, surrounded by friends and family. It was a magical moment at her favorite restaurant, complete with fairy lights and a live band playing her favorite song. Amara said yes without hesitation, tears streaming down her face. Their love story became the envy of everyone they knew. Amara's best friend, Chioma, was over the moon for her. Chioma had been a constant in Amara's life since secondary school. She was loyal, funny, and fiercely protective of her friend. Together, the three of them formed an unbreakable trio, or so Amara thought. 5 months before the wedding, Amara began feeling unusually fatigued. She blamed it to stress from work and planning for her wedding, but it was discovered that something more serious was going on when she fainted during the bridal fitting. Daniel rushed her to the hospital. The diagnosis was devastating: stage 1 lymphoma. Though the cancer had been caught early, Amara was terrified. Chemotherapy was grueling, and she worried about the toll it will take on her body and spirit. Daniel, however, remained her rock. He assured her they would face this together and insisted that their wedding go on as planned. With her treatments underway, Amara asked Chioma to step in and oversee the wedding preparations. Chioma gladly agreed, eager to help her best friend during such a difficult time. As Chioma and Daniel worked together to finalize catering, decor, and guest lists, their relationship began to shift. It started innocently enough. Long phone calls about wedding details, shared laughs over silly mistakes, and late-night meetings when decisions couldn't wait. But then came the stolen glances, the lingering touches, and the unspoken tension that hung in the air whenever they were alone. Both tried to ignore it, brushing it off as stress or a trick of the mind. Yet, the more time they spent together, the harder it became to deny their growing feelings. Chioma was racked with guilt. Amara was not only her best friend, but also someone who was battling for her life. How could she betray her like this? And Daniel, he was engaged to the woman he had loved for most of his life. What they were doing was unforgivable. But their resolve crumbled one fateful evening when they found themselves alone after a wedding meeting ran late. A shared moment of vulnerability turned into a kiss, and from then on, they couldn't stop themselves. The affair continued in secret, each encounter leaving them both exhilarated and ashamed. Daniel began to question everything. Did he love Amara out of habit? Was Chioma his true soulmate? The more he thought about it, the more uncertain he became about the future with Amara. Meanwhile, Amara's health began to improve. The chemo was working, and her doctors were optimistic. By the time the wedding day arrived, Amara was radiant. She had regained much of her strength and was looking forward to finally marrying the love of her life. Unbeknownst to her, Daniel was drowning in doubts. The weight of his secret to Chioma threatened to crush him, but he couldn't bring himself to confess. Chioma too was struggling. She contemplated skipping the wedding altogether, but didn't want to raise suspicion. The long-awaited day arrived. The church was packed full with guests, all eagerly awaiting the moment Amara and Daniel would exchange vows. Amara looked stunning in her gown, her smile lighting up the room as she walked down the aisle. But Chioma, seated in the front pew, couldn't bear it. Seeing Daniel about to marry someone else was too much to handle. Halfway through the ceremony, she quietly slipped out of the church. Daniel saw her leaving, and his heart raced. The doubts in his mind just exploded. He knew at that moment what he had to do. When the pastor asked if he would take Amara as his wife, Daniel hesitated. He is quiet. Then, with a heavy heart, he said, "I can't." Gasps filled the room. Amara looked at him, confused and hot. Daniel turned to her, his eyes full of tears. "I am sorry, Amara. I love you, but I can't go through with this," he said, before running out after the best friend. Before anyone could stop him, he ran out of the church. Guests watched in shock as he and Chioma were seen driving away together, leaving Amara heartbroken and humiliated. Amara spent months cocooned in heartbreak and disbelief. Friends and family rallied around her, but the betrayal cut so deeply that it took everything in her to merely function. At first, she questioned everything. Was her love for Daniel a lie? How could Chioma, her confidant, the woman she trusted above all, do this to her? But Amara's inner strength began to shine through. She threw herself into her work, began attending therapy sessions, and found solace in volunteering at a local cancer support group. Helping others reminded her of her own journey and reignited her sense of purpose. Her illness also left her with a desire to truly live, travel, experience new things, and meet new people. She took trips to parts of Nigeria she had always wanted to see, immersing herself in the vibrant cultures of the north and the serene beaches of the south. On one of these trips, she met Tunde, a kind-hearted documentary filmmaker with an infectious laugh and a deep appreciation for life. Though Amara wasn't ready for love, she welcomed his friendship, and slowly it became something else. Chioma and Daniel's escape from the church didn't lead to the fairy tale romance they had envisioned. Though their chemistry was undeniable, the weight of their betrayal followed them like a shadow. Gossip about their scandal spread quickly, and they found themselves ostracized by their former friends and family. Daniel, consumed by guilt, struggled to find peace. His career took a hit. Many of his business partners distanced themselves, unwilling to associate with someone so publicly scandalized. His shame deepened when he realized that the perfect love he thought he had with Chioma was tainted by the way it began. Chioma, on the other hand, grew defensive. She believed they had done the right thing by following their hearts, but underestimated how much the betrayal could haunt her. She tried to be happy with Daniel, but the whispers, judgment, and her own guilt eroded their relationship. Eventually, their love imploded in a heated argument one night. Chioma admitted she felt as though she had lost a part of herself by betraying Amara. Daniel, tired of the weight of their mistakes, quietly packed his bags and left. Alone again, Chioma was forced to confront the emptiness that her decisions had left in her life. While Chioma and Daniel's lives unraveled, Amara's flourished. Tunde became a steady presence in her life, gently encouraging her to trust and open her heart again. Unlike Daniel, Tunde didn't try to overshadow her, but supported her growth. Together, they collaborated on a documentary about cancer survivors, a project that became a national sensation for its raw, honest storytelling. Her career soared, and she was invited to speak at international conferences, sharing her journey of overcoming betrayal, illness, and finding strength in vulnerability. The once shy Amara now stood confidently before crowds, inspiring countless others. Years later, at a charity gala for cancer awareness, Amara bumped into Chioma. The encounter was brief but intense. Chioma looked worn, her once vibrant energy dimmed. She apologized profusely, tears streaming down her face, but Amara only smiled. "I forgave you a long time ago," she said, her voice steady. "I just hope you have learned to forgive yourself." Chioma nodded, grateful yet heartbroken. She had spent years in self-reflection and was trying to rebuild her life. Though they didn't part as friends, the exchange brought a sense of closure to both women. Months later, Daniel reached out to Amara. He was living a quiet life in a small village, far removed from the chaos of their past. He wanted to apologize, not to rekindle anything, but to find peace. Amara agreed to meet him. Over coffee, Daniel admitted he had been wrong, not just for leaving her at the altar, but for leading her on when he knew he had doubts. He confessed that while he and Chioma had felt something real, it wasn't worth the cost. "I hurt you, Amara, and I will never forgive myself for that," he said. Amara, now a woman completely at peace, replied, "We were young and foolish, Daniel, but I have moved on, and I hope you have too. Life is too short to hold on to anger." For the first time, Daniel felt the weight of his mistakes lift. As they parted ways, he realized Amara had grown into someone he barely recognized. Strong, radiant, and utterly out of his league. Tunde proposed to Amara in the most unexpected way. On the set of their latest documentary, as they filmed a scene with a group of children, he turned to Amara with a ring and said, "Life is unpredictable, but one thing I know for sure is that I want to spend the rest of mine with you." Amara, surrounded by laughter and joy, said yes. Their wedding was intimate, held on a beach at sunset, attended only by close friends and family. It was a stark contrast to the grand affair she had once planned with Daniel. This time, there were no doubts, no betrayals, only love, respect, and the promise of a future built on honesty and mutual care. Amara's journey became a story of triumph over illness, heartbreak, and betrayal. She learned that life doesn't always go as planned. But when you choose to heal, grow, and trust again, it can lead to something even more beautiful than you imagined. Her story became a beacon of hope for others, proving that even when life knocks you down, you have the power to rise stronger, wiser, and more radiant than before. Months after Amara's wedding to Tunde, she began receiving letters from an anonymous sender. At first, they seemed harmless, simple congratulations on her new life and praise for her resilience. But as the letters continued, they grew more personal and unsettling. The sender seemed to know intimate details about her life, things she had shared only with Daniel and Chioma. Tunde noticed her growing anxiety and encouraged her to investigate. Together, they pieced together the clues. The handwriting was familiar, and the tone hinted at guilt. Finally, Amara confronted the possibility that one of her betrayers was trying to reach out, whether for closure or for something darker. One evening, Chioma appeared at Amara's office unannounced, her eyes red-rimmed and her demeanor fragile. She admitted that she had been the one sending the letters, unable to let go of the guilt that haunted her daily. "I ruined everything, Amara," Chioma said, breaking down. "Not just your life, but my own. I thought I'd found something real with Daniel, but it was just a fantasy. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I needed you to know I am sorry, truly sorry." Amara listened, her emotions conflicted. Part of her wanted to lash out, to tell Chioma to leave and never to come back. But another part of her part that had grown stronger through her struggles, chose compassion. "Chioma," she said quietly, "I forgave you a long time ago. You need to forgive yourself and move on. Life is too short to live in the past." The conversation marked a turning point for Chioma. She left that night determined to rebuild her life and make amends with herself. Daniel re-entered the picture unexpectedly, now working for a charity that partnered with Tunde's documentary project. He found himself face to face with Amara during a fundraising event. He approached her cautiously, aware of the hurt he had caused. "Amara," he began, "I didn't expect to see you here, but I am glad I did. I have been wanting to thank you." "For what?" Amara asked, her tone neutral. "For forgiving me when I didn't deserve it," he said. "You taught me something about grace that I will carry with me for the rest of my life." Their conversation was brief, but it left Amara feeling lighter. She realized that seeing Daniel no longer stirred pain or anger in her. He was simply a part of her past, a chapter in a story that had long since closed. Amara and Tunde continued to strive, both individually and as a couple. Their latest project, a documentary about forgiveness and reconciliation, became a global phenomenon. They traveled the world, speaking at universities, churches, and conferences, sharing stories of people who had overcome betrayal, heartbreak, and loss. On one such trip to Cape Town, South Africa, Tunde surprised Amara with the news that their documentary had been nominated for an international award. The recognition was a testament to their hard work and the power of their message. Meanwhile, Chioma's journey towards redemption took her down a path she hadn't anticipated. She began volunteering at a women's shelter, using her own experiences to counsel others who had made life-altering mistakes. Her honesty and vulnerability inspired many, and over time, she found a sense of purpose she hadn't felt in years. One day, she received a letter from Amara, a short but heartfelt note, thanking her for the courage to seek forgiveness. It's time toward a tentative new friendship, one built on honesty and boundaries, rather than blind trust. Years later, Amara and Tunde welcomed their first child, a baby girl they named Ada, after Amara's late mother. Holding Ada in her arms, Amara felt a sense of completeness she hadn't known was possible. Her journey from heartbreak to happiness had been long and arduous, but it had also been worth it. She had learned to trust herself, to forgive, and to embrace the unexpected twist of life. As she watched Tunde cradle their daughter, Amara knew she had found her true partner, a man who valued her, supported her, and stood by her through every storm. Her story was no longer one of betrayal, but of resilience, love, and the power of a second chance. And with Ada in her arms, she knew the best chapters of her life were still to come. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this beautiful story, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, The Folktale Queen, in order not to miss out on our other interesting stories. Thank you.